Alright, hello, welcome to Pan 31's. I'm going to continue on with my series, and today I'm going to present an interesting theory that is actually quite old. It's roughly about 400 years old, and it's to do with William Shakespeare. Now, the theory is that many people from the time of Shakespeare's death up to present are purporting and believe that William Shakespeare is not the man responsible for writing the works accredited to him. And this isn't just a random statement that people make. There's a lot of evidence that people have uncovered and have investigated to come to better grips of this theory. So interesting, William Shakespeare didn't write the Shakespeare plays. Well, today I'm going to use an interesting book titled Francis Bacon's Cryptic Rhymes, and it's by Edwin Borman. He is writing, or this book was written in the early 1900s, so it's signed 1904. And so in 1904, Edwin Borman is claiming that there are a lot of people who are believing what he believes. Today I'm only going to go so far into this theory and discuss Shakespeare. I mean, if the theory goes that somebody else wrote the Shakespeare plays, we should be investigating who wrote the Shakespeare plays, and that comes up. But for now, it's just presenting the theory, presenting the idea that William Shakespeare is not and was not responsible for writing those works. Okay, so to get into this theory, it's going to be the easiest just to plagiarize and read directly from this book, and I'm going to read from chapter 5, and it is called The Mysterious Manner of the Actor Shakespeare. And there's a couple quotes there by Francis Bacon. I'm still not giving it away who some people believe wrote the Shakespeare plays. Today I'm only talking about Shakespeare, but for some reason there's Francis Bacon quotes. The Mysterious Manner of the Actor Shakespeare. So Edwin Borman is a strong believer that William Shakespeare wasn't responsible, and so this is a few things that he says. Okay. The name of the actor William, however known to the world as Shakespeare, spelt S-H-A-K-E-S-P-E-A-R-E, for that is how the name is spelt on the printed title pages, was not really Shakespeare, but Shakespeare or Shakespeare. He bore a similar but not the same name. And in this theory, this is one of the very first pieces of evidence that people bring forward, and that is the man William Shakespeare, who lived at the time of the plays being published in the late 1500s and the early 1600s, and the man who was associated with the Globe Theatre in London, and the man who was born in Stratford of Avon. His name is spelt differently than the works signed on the page. So that's a piece of information that people bring forth. I'll continue on. Without attributing too much importance to this fact, let us examine the relationship in which the actor stood to the works of William Shakespeare. Whatever the numerous works dealing with the personality of the actor may have brought to light as positive facts regarding his life and literary work, it is very little more than nothing. Those that pretend to know sufficient about the personality of the actor in his assumed capacity as a poet deceive themselves and others in saying so. We know the Shakespeare works and some facts about their publication, but as to the actor and his relationship to these works, these have foiled all efforts of research. The investigators altogether have brought next to nothing to light. The mystery baffles the cunning. Again, he's writing in 1904, so since then I'm sure there's been plenty of information, and just recently they've discovered a third theater somewhere in London, an octagonal shaped theater that they're claiming is related to Shakespeare and the Shakespeare plays. Okay, so more information on why people believe William Shakespeare isn't responsible for writing these plays. Diligent research has, in the first place, proved beyond doubt that the father of the actor could not write. He made a cross in the name of his place. That the mother of Shakespeare could not write. She signed her name with a cross, and that the daughter Judith could not write. She signed her name with a wriggling attempt at the flourish, scarcely resembling the initial letter of her name. We also know for a fact that the 5 preserved signatures of the actor... Let me explain this. There are no records of Shakespeare's writing. There's nothing. There's no plays. There's nothing with actual Shakespeare handwriting. And all the plays, I guess, would have been in print. But, so, the only 5 examples of William Shakespeare's handwriting are 5 signatures, and this is what he says about the signatures. The signatures of the actor all present more or less the form Shakespere, or Shakespeare, not Shakespeare, and that nothing more, not one other line written by his hand, has been preserved. The 5 signatures, however, prove that the man wrote an awful hand. They are even drawn in such a childish fashion that some graphologists have concluded, therefore, that the man could write nothing beyond his own name. Of course, this is a shock, and it's just, it doesn't make sense. But this is the evidence. There is only 5 preserved. There are only 5 preserved signatures, and no other line written by his hand has been preserved. So that's the truth. That's a true statement. Now, the most important aspect of this theory is the material embodied within the plays themselves. What do the plays mean? You know, why do they think he couldn't have written these plays? What's going on here? And basically, another writer who I don't have his book, Manly P. Hall, he claims that all previous people who have tried to prove that Shakespeare didn't write the plays were missing one of the main pieces of evidence. Like, lots of people have his education wasn't that great. They have that he didn't travel, so how did he gain all of his information? He didn't have access to a library, so how did he gain all his information? So what Manly P. Hall took further was the actual knowledge embodied in the plays. And how he explains it is that within the Shakespeare plays, within their brilliance, within their hugeness, their grandeur, their complicatedness, are clues to a form of what Manly P. Hall calls transcendental knowledge. And now this is where we start to step into, God forbid, secret societies and their role in procuring the Shakespeare plays. And so again, Manly P. Hall, he looks into this knowledge, this philosophy, this science of the Shakespeare plays and says, you know, the only people capable of writing something of such grandeur and importance would have to be somebody completely and utterly assimilated into these, what we've learned to call secret societies. I call supra societies. They're not secret anymore. They're supra, though. And Manly P. Hall, he reiterates that it's within this knowledge, within the grandeur of the plays, that makes him feel that it was impossible for a Gentile like Shakespeare to produce such amazing works. And so that's the theory, and that's where we are, is that by many scholars, many people from the past have relentlessly tried to disprove Shakespeare's authorship of the plays. And again, why? What reason? It's for truth. It's for truth. It's for searching for truth. And so that's why it's been carried on. And Manly P. Hall was writing in the 1920s, the 1930s. Borman's writing in the very early 1900s. And with this line written by Edwin Borman, can conclude this little thesis, and it goes, "At his death, not a line was penned in all England, not a word, deploring the loss of a great poet."